What's actually happening inside your brain during the first 20 minutes after a sip of coffee? Because it's not what you've been told. It's not just caffeine waking you up. It's something far stranger and far more powerful than that. And by the time you finish this video, you'll never look at your morning cup the same way again. Let's start from the very first sip. You take a drink. The coffee enters your stomach. Within minutes, and I mean within 5 to 10 minutes, caffeine molecules are already crossing into your bloodstream. And from there, they do something remarkable. Caffeine is one of the few substances small enough and fat-soluble enough to cross the blood-brain barrier, that protective wall around your brain that filters out most of what tries to reach it. Caffeine passes through it like it isn't even there. And once inside, it does something you've probably never been told about. It doesn't actually give you energy. That's the lie everyone repeats. Caffeine doesn't add energy to your system. It blocks something that takes energy away. That something is called adenosine. Adenosine is a chemical your brain produces all day long. The longer you're awake, the more it builds up. And when it docks into its receptors, those little parking spots on your neurons, it tells your body one thing. You're tired. Slow down. Rest. That's how sleepiness works. It's not weakness. It's chemistry. But caffeine has a sneaky trick. It has almost the exact same shape as adenosine. So when caffeine reaches your brain, it slides into those receptors first. It locks them. It blocks them. Adenosine shows up and finds every parking spot taken. The fatigue signal can't get through. You don't actually have more energy. You just stopped feeling the exhaustion that was already there. 20 minutes after that first sip, caffeine concentration in your blood is climbing fast. Peak concentration hits around the 30 to 45 minute mark, but at 20 minutes, you're already deep into the effects. And here's what's happening simultaneously, right now inside you. Your heart rate increases, slightly but measurably. Your blood pressure rises, on average by 5 to 10 millimeters of mercury, which sounds small, but it is the same kind of spike your body experiences during mild stress. Your blood vessels start to constrict. They get narrower. This is called vasoconstriction. And in your brain, this has a strange effect. It actually reduces blood flow to certain regions, which is one reason coffee can stop a headache in some people and trigger a headache in others. But the more interesting effect is happening in your reward system. Because blocking adenosine doesn't just remove fatigue, it also unmasks dopamine. See, adenosine normally puts a slight brake on your dopamine release. When caffeine kicks that brake out from under it, your dopamine system runs slightly hotter than normal. You don't get a flood. You get a trickle, a subtle, steady increase in motivation, focus, and mood. That's why coffee feels good. Not because it gives you energy, but because it briefly removes the chemical leash on your pleasure system. And your brain remembers this every single morning. Now, here's where it gets disturbing. Most people drink their first cup of coffee within 30 minutes of waking up. That timing is a problem, because in the first hour after you wake up, your body is already producing a natural surge of a hormone called cortisol. Cortisol is your body's built-in wake-up signal. It naturally peaks between roughly 8 and 9 in the morning. It's what makes you feel alert without any help. And when you pour caffeine into a body that's already cortisol loaded, you override the natural system. Over time, and this is where most people don't realize what's happening, your body starts producing less cortisol in the morning because something else is doing its job. The result? You can't wake up without coffee, not because you needed it, but because you trained your body to stop waking up on its own. This is where the trap closes. After about 4 to 7 days of regular coffee consumption, your brain notices that its adenosine receptors keep getting blocked. So it does something logical. It builds more receptors, more parking spots for adenosine, which means the same amount of caffeine no longer blocks them all. So you need a little more coffee, and a little more, and a little more. This is tolerance, and it builds quietly. Most people don't even notice it until they try to skip a day. Because when you skip a day, and all those extra adenosine receptors suddenly have nothing blocking them, adenosine floods in. You feel exhausted. You feel foggy. Your blood vessels dilate back, and you get headaches. You're not just tired from missing coffee. You're experiencing withdrawal, a real, measurable neurochemical withdrawal from a real, measurable neurochemical dependency. Let's go back to the bloodstream for a moment, because the cardiovascular effects of coffee are more complex than most people think. For most healthy adults, moderate caffeine intake, somewhere between 2 and 3 cups a day, has minimal long-term impact on the heart. But here is where it gets interesting. In people who already have high blood pressure, that small 5 to 10 point spike becomes a real concern, multiplied across years, across thousands of cups. In people with arrhythmias or irregular heart rhythms, caffeine can act as a trigger. Not always, but sometimes. And the vasoconstriction effect, the narrowing of blood vessels, can briefly reduce blood flow to the fingers and to the toes, which is why some people feel cold or tingly after a strong coffee. But here's the strangest part. Long term, the picture flips. Because while caffeine spikes your blood pressure in the short term, decades of research suggest that regular coffee drinkers actually have lower risks of several cardiovascular events, not despite the coffee. Because of it, coffee is loaded with hundreds of bioactive compounds, including polyphenols, antioxidants, and chlorogenic acids that appear to reduce inflammation, protect the lining of your blood vessels, and improve how your body handles glucose. And the protection extends to your brain. Studies tracking hundreds of thousands of people have found that regular coffee consumption is associated with significantly lower rates of Parkinson's disease, by some estimates, up to a 30% reduction. Alzheimer's risk also appears to drop in regular coffee drinkers. So does the rate of certain types of depression. So what's going on? The same molecule that blocks your adenosine receptors, spikes your blood pressure, and hijacks your reward system also protects your neurons. Coffee, it turns out, is not simple. It is one of the most complex substances we consume every day. So what should you actually do with all of this? A few things the science strongly suggests. First, and this surprises most people, don't drink coffee within the first 90 minutes of waking up. Wait until your natural cortisol peak passes. Then have your coffee. You'll get more benefit from less caffeine, and you won't suppress your body's own wake-up system. Second, give yourself a cutoff. Caffeine has a half-life of around 5 to 6 hours. That means a coffee at 3 in the afternoon is still half active in your system at 9 at night, and it will disrupt your deep sleep even if you don't feel it. Third, watch your dose. The research consistently lands in the same zone. 2 to 3 cups a day is the sweet spot. More than that, and the cardiovascular and anxiety risks start to climb. Less than that, and you may be under the threshold for the neuroprotective effects. And fourth, every few months, take a week off. It's uncomfortable. The headaches are real. The fatigue is real. But it resets your tolerance. Your receptors recalibrate. And when you go back to coffee, you'll feel the effects you remember from years ago. So here's the truth about your morning cup. It's not just a drink. It is a pharmaceutical-grade molecule that crosses your blood-brain barrier, blocks your fatigue signals, hijacks your dopamine, suppresses your cortisol, narrows your blood vessels, builds tolerance, and somehow, against all of that, may still be protecting your brain from the diseases of aging. That is not a simple substance. That is one of the most powerful daily rituals in human civilization. And now you actually know what it is doing inside you. If this video made you think about your coffee differently, hit subscribe. Because next week, we're going to look at something even stranger. What happens to your brain when you stop drinking coffee for 30 days?